Hi scientists. Today we're learning about another animal. This animal lives in the water with fish. It has no arms or legs. It moves slowly and it carries its house on its back. Do you know what kind of animal this is? It's a snail. It's a water snail. It's actually called a ram's horn snail. This is called a ram's horn snail. Do you see a shell on this animal? Do you see the shell? Do you see what's sticking out of the shell? The two wiggly things sticking out? Now this right here, this is called a foot. Basically, the large surface on which a snail moves is called its foot. And the protective covering is called its shell. As you can see the foot. And extending from its head are called its tentacles. Those are its feelers. The tentacles right there. This is a really good shot of a ram's horn snail. You can see it up close and personal. And we're going to meet another snail called a pond snail. Now this is a pond snail. How does the shell look compared to the ram's horn snail? The ram's horn snail really looked like a curly thing. The pond snail has more of a wide with just a little bit there. Can you see the difference in the shell of the pond snail? It definitely looks different than the ram's horn snail. The ram's horn snail is more typical of what we think of when we think of a snail. Take a look at the pond snail. Do you see how the tentacles are closer to its body? It's not coming out of its shell as much as the ram's horn snail. Take a look at the pond snail. And moving. See how it stays more in its shell? Take a look at the pond snail. There it is. So which one do you think this is? Is this a pond snail or a ram's horn snail? Did you guess ram's horn snail? You are right. These are the ram's horn snails again. Do you see how they really have a much more of a curly-Q kind of a shell? Take a look at the table. This is the difference between ram's horn snails and pond snails. Ram's horn snails have a dark brown shell. Pond snails have an olive green shell. Ram's horn snails have a spiral shell. That was that curly-Q shell, where pond snails have a domed shell. We saw the difference in the shell. The ram's horn snail moves all over the aquarium, whereas the pond snail moves on the bottom and sides of an aquarium only. The ram's horn snail has a narrow foot, and the pond snail has a broad oval foot, a bigger foot, like a wider foot. The ram's horn snail, when it moves, the tail and the head extend beyond the shell, but the pond snail, the tail and the head are close to the shell. So that is our study of ram's horn snails and pond snails and the differences that you'll see. You're going to get a paper that looks like this, and it says, what are the parts of a water snail? And you can see which one is the ram's horn snail. So this is the curly-Q, that's the ram's horn. This is the pond snail with the domed shell. Now it says, what are the parts of a water snail? Remember that it had a head and that foot, and those feelers are called tentacles. Tentacles. Now let's see, for the pond snail, now remember the ram's horn snail, it came out way beyond, so that's why I brought it out there. The pond snail, you're just going to see the tentacle and the foot come not too much farther out. And now you can fill in this part that says, a water snail, you can say, lives in water. A water snail has tentacles. A water snail has a foot, moves with its foot, whatever you want to say. You can go ahead and do that and glue this into the next clean page in your science book. I hope you enjoyed looking at snails. Have a great day.